Hello, everybody. Uh,
Hi.
Welcome to the live stream for Firebird Questions and Answers with Dmitry Yemanov and me, Alexey Kavazin. So this is our first experience with the live streaming. In the times of pandemic, it is necessary to be closer to the audience, and with the absence of the conferences, which we miss a lot, we decided to try streaming, and today will be the first, try. So something can be not really good, but I hope it will be a good experience. So I will first ask Dmitry Yemanov to present some short review of what happened during the 2021 and some plans for 2022. So Dmitry, please.
Hi again. Let's start with this short review of what the hell we were doing during this year and what we are going to do the next year. We had released two Firebird versions this year. Firebird 4 final release has been published this summer, in the beginning of the summer. And recently we had released Firebird 3.08 in November with bug fixes. And we hope to release the first Firebird 4-point release, 4.0.1 before this year ends, very soon. But not only this, not only the Firebird itself, we had released many updated versions of our drivers for Python, for Java, for .NET. We had made available English and German translations of the language reference for Firebird 3. And we had published the language reference so far only in English for Firebird 4. Also, Firebird 4 migration guide is available, but actually there are two migration guides. One of them is prepared by the Firebird team. It's quite short, but it's free. And a more comprehensive guide was written by Carlos Cantu. It's also available for download, but it's paid. So actually you have some choice what to start with. And if you need more information, you may consider buying the more comprehensive version. So actually, if you are considering upgrading to Firebird 4 or in the process of upgrading, or actually had already switched to Firebird 4 but need some additional information, please take this into account. What is going to be available in Firebird 4.0.1? Actually, this release is, of course, about bug fixing. 6 months have passed since the original release, so of course some bugs have been reported and fixed. Those of you who desperately needed these bug fixes could take snapshot builds, but actually we know that many people need quite more stable, more tested releases and wait for the official point release. So actually it's going to be available soon. It contains about 10 minor improvements and quite enough of bug fixes. We are committing just the final fixes these days. The source code is going to be tagged this week. And so actually shortly after that, as soon as we prepare the release notes, it's going to be published. Hopefully it should happen before the Christmas. Then we are in the process of development the next Firebird version, Firebird 5. It introduces new minor ODS version, 13.1. We are hoping to release Firebird 5 during the next year, the second half of the next year. And some of the features to be available in this release are already done, implemented, and available for testing in snapshot builds. Some of them are to be ported from different private branches, and some of them are still work in progress. So actually, they are being implemented and tested. But basically, you can see on the screen what we expect to have released along with Firebird 5. Some of these features are new. Some of them are, you could see, they were postponed from Firebird 4. But anyway, the pre-major list is already available. So well, that's enough for a start. Now time for your questions, so feel free.
Okay, thank you, Dmitry. We already have some questions. One from Dmitry Kuzmenko. So when will be Firebird beta?
Actually, quite soon. We had plans to release it quite soon, maybe at the beginning of the next year, because to have a more faster feedback from you guys, our users, and because we already will have some features implemented and available for testing. So I don't see any big reason to delay the public preview release. So
Okay.
the beginning of the next year.
Yeah, that's good. I think this is good. And we have another question from the sun in Norway. Hi, Torgay. So the question is about something is giving us problems. Customers asking if they can have the Firebird server on premises and the client in the cloud. I'm worried about .NET latency and Firebird performance.
Well, actually, we had tested the Firebird performance across the network, especially as a slow network with big latency. And actually, starting from Firebird 3, there are no known issues with network if you fetch records and send data. Actually, our protocol works very good. Comparable or even better than some competitive databases. The only remaining problem that could affect performance is latency with when working with blobs. When you fetch many blobs, especially if they are small, this could really affect the latency and thus performance across the network.
Yeah, so the workaround is to cast small blobs to varchar, right?
Oh, yes, if it's doable.
Okay, good. So there is another good question from the sunny Italy. So Fabio, hi. So when we will have JSON data type? Oh, really good question.
Actually, much depends on what you expect from a JSON data type, because having JSON as a kind of stored into the table is a one task, is just a blob. But having multiple operations with JSON, querying JSON data is a different task. And being actually having some kind of indexes of subparts, subsets of the JSON data, and the binary storage of JSON data is yet another extension of this feature. So, of course, we cannot do everything at once. But I can say just one thing, that almost full support for operations with JSON data that is defined by the SQL specification, because now JSON is a part of the SQL specification, is already implemented by Redsoft guys, and they promise to make it available for Firebird soon, maybe during the next year or two. So the data type itself and the functions with operations with the data type that is defined by the SQL standard, I hope they will be available soon. As for more deeper optimizations, they will come, of course, later, not everything at once.
Actually, this is a great news, I think. So, so not in Firebird 5, but probably in Firebird 6 for sure, or 5.
At least persistent storage, yes, searching, aggregation, and some specific functions, but maybe except indices so far. This will come later.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So we have another question. We have two, I think, like two separate databases, version 3, and we would like to look at merging them into one. Is this possible, and what is the best option if so? I think that, yes, it is possible, right?
But manually.
Yeah, so probably this task is requires some script, right? So there is no standard tool in Firebird or but maybe a suggestion to look at the Pentaho data operations. So they have some suitable things to manipulate data. But in general, it's a manual question, right? So manual operation.
The metadata should be duplicated, created in another database, and all the tables must be copied by some tools like data export tools and something like that.
And probably there should be resolved some problems with iteration for primary keys and unique keys, right? Maybe by adding some shift, for example, the first database from 1 million to 100 million.
Yes, if these databases, because we don't know whether those databases share the same metadata or they have different schema. So actually, the migration could be different because of that, whether you need to resolve conflicts between the data sets or not. So, but anyway, this is manual task with using some additional tools like data pump and something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so not really a question, but looks like a claim. So, but so somebody have troubles with migration to Firebird 4, but there are some really good.
Because this is not a question, this is a statement. My statement would be you can. Actually, you can. Because this is a very common question for those who stepped on the problems with new data types of Firebird 4 not available in older applications. So usually the majority of such problems are resolved with setting, opening firebird.conf file and setting data type compatibility equal to 2.5. So that Firebird 4 behaves exactly like Firebird 2.5 in terms of the data types. Usually it resolves the problems with migration. Because you migrate the database, but you may leave your application intact. If you have another problems with migration, can't restore or something like that, I'd like to hear more details. What is the actual problem?
Yeah, so I've put the link to short Firebird migration guide where these compatibility options is described. So please take a look. It is in the comments. Okay, good. Good. So there are some questions from Andrei. SQL query in single JSON with results set out simply to implement, but it will bring Firebird to the game of cloud web solutions. Yeah, sure.
Yes, this is exactly what we are going to support soon.
Okay, good. So next question. Any plans to officially support Firebird embedded for iOS? Well, which made some efforts, but it's not official. Well,
I hope so, but actually it's more a problem of how many iOS users we have, because I remember that when we put some binaries on our website, the first builds, not many of them were downloaded, and not many people reported about any problems. So actually, if we see that there is more demand in these builds, we will try to make them official.
Okay, yeah. So actually, I think that people who use iOS and who need iOS should be more active in Firebird support and Firebird development.
Don't hesitate to write in our mailing lists asking for the official builds and reporting about any problems you have. If you don't have any problems, please also write about that. Your builds are fine, we can use it in production, please make it official.
Yeah,
it's
sure,
also
that's
feedback for us. We at least know
Okay.
that somebody is using it.
Yes, that's important. Okay, so Fabio, thanks again to Redsoft. Yeah, really, thanks. Do you see Firebird native support for Microsoft Power BI becoming available rather than using a DBC? What kind of native? I think a DBC is native for Microsoft, no?
And actually, what is the problem with using ODBC?
I know that for Firebird 4 there is a problem because ODBC is a kind of backward,
outdated,
a bit outdated. Yes, so they are working to update it for Firebird 4, but it's not ready, not released.
But I hope it will be released soon, because I know the guys are working on that.
Yes, so that's good. But so sorry, this is not really clear question. If you can write more details, so we will try to answer.
Yes.
I'm using Firebird 2.5 and it's very slow if data is big. Will upgrading to Firebird 5 be faster? It looks like the problem is not with the Firebird itself, but when we see such type of questions, so when you claim the general slowness of Firebird, it probably means that you need to go through specific steps. First of all, check your hardware so you can run some tests. There are some free tests you can see to check is it good or not. Second, you need to check your Firebird configuration. We have, for example, Firebird configuration calculator to calculate a good configuration for your application. Also, you need to select proper architecture. If you're using 2.5, I can guess you are using super server. And until Firebird 3, it is better to use super classic or classic. And the third, you need to check how your queries are working. For this, Firebird have trace, and it's easy to use trace to identify the problematic queries, the longest queries, the most frequent, and so on.
I may say that really Firebird 3 and Firebird 4 already have some improvements in speed, both on the optimizer side and in terms of generic performance. But generally, the most of performance problem is due to badly optimized queries. So you need to do some work to trace them down and detect what is wrong. Maybe rewrite the query or create some additional indices or something like that. Not everything, of course, not all problems are related to that, but actually many.
Well, yes. So the next question, again from Sunny, Italy. Where will be official support and well documentation to iOS and Android? It's time to go mobile.
Well, maybe it's really good point, but as for me, I'd like to see more people saying go mobile, and somehow helping us with that. Because actually, well, many of us are kind of dinosaurs, still working with client-server environments, dedicated servers, and so on. And actually, maybe don't pay enough attention to mobile development and mobile applications. So actually, we just need some maybe more pressure from you guys who are mobile application users to help us moving forward. I don't mind. We just need more support from you, more help from you.
Actually, more clear demand, because
Yes,
what we
yes.
see is 2 or 3 people, like per month or even per quarter, asking, is there any such build? So comparing with other types of questions, it's not so big amount of people.
Of course, having them available officially will move things going forward, of course. But for us, maybe this is just not enough. We just need more information of what actually you need, what actually you understand by going mobile. Having only the mobile versions of the Firebird embedded and the Firebird client or something more.
Mhm. Okay, good. So let's go to the next question. Do you have any new performance optimization like covering index, lose index scan, join elimination? I think for join elimination, yes, there are some good progress.
Yes, some of them actually, well, you know, the optimizer is a very complex beast, and the most problem is not only to implement some feature, but just to make it working without badly affecting any other queries. Because in the optimizer, when you touch something here, usually you see that something there is broken, gets broken. So the testing stage is really long and hard. But we have plans for the optimizer. First, we have plans for in and exist subqueries, then join elimination, then optimizing performance of outer joins to make them working using hash join, for example. And so on. Loose index scan was already considered. I don't promise it for Firebird far, but it will be in the pipeline. As for covering indexes, we need just to think more about that. I cannot promise anything like right now.
Okay, good. And also the really traditional question about the full text indexes.
Well, it's also one of the features that people ask for, but well, maybe the feature is big. And so far, we just didn't have enough resources to dedicate more time and implement it because it's not trivial. And the workaround implementation, for example, using the Sphinx engine as a
Yes.
is available, but it's hard to use, and not everybody is aware about that trick.
You know,
So
but
maybe the possibility exists, but I cannot say it's going to happen really soon.
You know, I would like to add about the full text search and maybe about the column-oriented things and so on. Honestly, I am against the idea to implement everything in Firebird. For example, the full text index, where a lot of open source implementation like Lucene, Sphinx, and others. And I think that the better idea would be to have external data source integrated to create indices with full text engines, with also not on like column-oriented agents and so on. In this case, we can easily integrate, maybe even by supplying some plugins, Firebird with such powerful things, because implementing full text index on the level which the leaders of the I mean the open source leaders, it's a very big task, and it's too big. I think it's too big to the Firebird, and the Firebird must be concentrated on the basic things like the basic performance, SQL standard, others. But others we can integrate with external data engines. What do you think, Dmitry?
Yes, maybe, but it should be just a note. It should be two-way integration.
Yes.
So kind of, for example, plugin for applications that moves our changes to that third-party storage with full text search abilities, and then some kind of external engine or some kind of SQL extensions that make it possible to query that storage.
Yes. So in this case, we will have the brilliant and already tested full text things instead of going deep with it. Okay, let's go for the next question. Any plans for background service plugin API? I think it's about the CDC, which we already have in HQBird, right, Dmitry?
Not really CVC, but Firebird 5 will offer an ability to parse replication journals, and you could, after decoding, you could send this data to elsewhere, to another database, into another Firebird database or some additional service. So actually, it could be used for notification subscription features, but third-party applications should be used for that. But maybe we could make, actually, I had this idea that internally Firebird could use its own replication to make some subscription functions, a kind of events, but inside the database and sending the data through replication API. But this is just a fresh idea that needs more thinking.
Yeah, of course. Well, some kind of streaming to RabbitMQ and other things. So it's really a good thing. Okay, go to the next question. Any plan to support beta messaging system events? All right. Yeah,
my favorite question.
Yeah, I think it also could be implemented with streaming from the previous question, right?
Yes. We just need to think how to better wrap our existing new features into something new. Maybe it shouldn't be just events extension, because one of the major problems with sending dynamic parameters with events is that our existing events API is not going to support that. Never. Another API is needed.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It means that all connectivity libraries must be changed to support the new API, and your application should be written to take these new features into account, and so on. Almost nobody who just wish to take parameters along with existing events, well, they are maybe not really prepared for that. If you do, we'd really like to hear about that you will be okay with the new API that makes it possible, and then we will consider it. It doesn't really matter. It would be something really internal, or something based on the replication API, or something different. We just need to consider whether it's okay to pay some efforts to support that from the application side, because it's not going to be automatic.
Yes. So again, I think it's better to go to look at the integration. But of course, it's only my opinion. Okay. Another question from Fabio. When we have PySQL integrated cross-database query?
It in the pipeline, but this work is really big. We are going to make it available in steps. First of all, we are going to support stored in the schema definitions of external data sources, so that you don't need to specify the database connection string and username and password inside the execute statement, but you just declare some external data source with this connection string and so on. And the existing execute statement will take this into account. So you could specify just execute statement using that data source. The next step is going to be to modify the SQL language syntax to support these kind of data sources, the kind of external schemas. So just you specify that you select this table from that data source using dot or ampersand or something like that. It doesn't really matter about syntax. And only that we are going to provide. Actually, of course, we already have external data source support for Firebird itself, for Firebird database, so it will be available automatically. But then we could offer also connecting using, for example, ODBC or JBird to different databases. And only then it could be possible to implement some deeper optimizations. For example, to push some local conditions into the external data sources and something like that. So it's really a big work that we hope to implement in steps, but no definite timeframes yet.
Yeah, of course. So again, the question about JSON, I think we already answered it, right? So
yes, we are considering it as some implementation already exists. I hope it will be available as a pull request soon, so we could review it. I cannot just say whether it's going to go into Firebird 5 or Firebird 6 or whatever.
Yeah. So there is a clarification of idea of full text search. Full text search does not work if you need embedded or some automatic deployment scenarios. Where you can easily deploy.
Well, it could be possible using Docker, for example. But generally, yes, I agree, it could be a problem. Well,
but I think it's also depends on how the embedded work with it. So there could be some additional plugin, right? Like we have for network connectivity. So there could be the plugin who work specifically for Sphinx, right? Because we have a plugin system.
Yes, actually for Sphinx, automatic deployment is easier. At least I think so. Than for others, because the Sphinx could be compiled in different mode. It could be available in kind of dynamic library and packaged together with Firebird and so on. But it, of course, requires some efforts. And the basic problem for me is that the Sphinx is really not actively developed recently. It gets outdated, and I'm not really sure about its future.
Okay, so I see the comment from Edson. Hi, Edson. From meu querido Firebird SQL. Bom dia. So there are some suggestion how to work around full text search. Okay, good.
It's a workaround, of course, yes.
Also, more comments. I think it's not really possible to make the.
Oh, this session of questions is answers not really direct support stream. So I don't really think it's okay to do it here right now, because we have many people listening and maybe having more questions. But maybe just he could put a message about his problem after.
To Firebird support. Actually, we have a very good Firebird support list.
Yes.
With very good people, very generous, who answer, and also Firebird developers like Dmitry and Vlad and others. They also participate.
I will help if I can, of course.
Yeah, so please prepare the detailed explanation and send it to Firebird support, because live solution, we are not magicians yet. Okay, good. So there are some other question. I'm still using version 2.5. Because of this, not sure about what was the problem. So there is a mixed questions. Will I be able to continue using Delphi 2.7 and renaming with BigQuery and have compatibility? A good question.
Actually, nothing has changed about that as far as I remember. So
Yeah?
it should still be possible. Firebird client is still compatible with GDS in the API, fully compatible. Still has these old compatibility functions that are returning the client library version that actually is needed
Yes, it should work.
by
Yes, it should
IBX.
work.
So actually it should work, and we are not going to break it. We are just not delivering GDS anymore, the GDS library, but you still may to rename.
Yeah, I can tell you that recently, so one of our big customers, so Alexander Shaposhnikov from ProfitMed. Hi, Alexander. So just migrated his huge database from 2.5 to 3.0, and some of the models, some legacy, still use BDE, the Borland database engine with GDEs 32 and all, and it all works. So there is no big problem for it. I have a good question. Perl compatible Rex.
Well, I don't know about any such plans, and well, I cannot say anything about that right now. I don't remember about such plans.
Yeah, I think.
But it's actually, if it's needed, my first question would be, why is still not in the fiber tracker?
Yes. So Vera continues the discussion about the workarounds. It's saying that MS SQL and PostgreSQL have it built in.
Yes, I know. Maybe it could look like a pity for us, but well, we just cannot make everything at once.
But I would like to add that the implementation inside MS SQL is not so good as the implementation in the engine like Lucene or Sphinx. So this specific full text implementation is better, and for this we should integrate with them and not try to reinvent the all things inside.
Yes, but from another side, I know that many our users who ask about the full text search don't really need all the magic that Sphinx or Elasticsearch could provide them. They could be quite enough with just a half of the features, so some kind of subset. And this is why they actually ask about that in Firebird, because of course nobody expects it fully supports the entire features of Elasticsearch or Lucene.
So I think some people really think that if we have full text search, it will be really full text search like Lucene. So it's of course it's a question of managing the expectations, but anyway. So another good question about the encryption on the table and the columns level.
Oh, I don't see why not. So actually, it should be possible. The major problem with encryption is actually the key management. So we should decide what will be more comfortable for users who are working with a schema, how to encrypt using some keys. Actually, we could not necessarily use our page level encryption algorithms for that. We could use another one because we have full support of Tomcrypt implementations, full hands of them. So actually, we could choose a good one for that. Of course, some SQL language syntax should be added for that, but it should be possible, yes. Not really concrete plans for the next year, for example, but why not? I will talk to Alex Peshkov about that. He's our security and encryption guy, and maybe we'll have some more information about that during the next stream.
Okay, good. So there are some. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching us. And some questions, more hard question about the features like intersect, accept, and so on.
I can say about intersect, accept, minus. They are standard from the SQL specification, and yes, at least I was going to put my hands on them during the next year. Not sure it will come into Firebird 5. No promises about that, but yes. As for other features, rollup, cube, group insects, yes, they are also from the SQL standard, but at least, well, I don't know about any plans in our team to start it implementing right now. Maybe in some future, maybe during the next year, I don't know.
Okay. Some also really traditional questions about the scheduler jobs.
Yes. Actually, it was one of the features that we originally considered for Firebird 5. But some other tasks just have more priority, some higher priority. So I just don't want to promise anything, but it will be implemented. It's in the pipeline.
Okay, so there is some discussion about what big is. The big for everyone is different. So there is some note from Edson. Yes, exactly.
I was already talking about that. Actually, it will be possible. Just initially, it will be available using execute statement and separate external data source definitions in the schema. And after that, using some existing drivers, JBOT or DBC or something like that. After that, at the next stage, our SQL language will be extended to support embedded definitions, embedded usage of external data sources, so that, for example, you could join local table with external table. But it will be on the next step.
Okay, good. I also, really like this feature with external data source. So also traditional question about the index types, bitmap and GIST.
Bitmap indices were already considered. It's possible. They have some issues, but they have some benefits as well. So maybe soon. As for GIST indices, actually, well, so far, I just don't see many users for that kind of indices. And for example, we already have one of the voted features in the tracker about geographic information, storing them, manipulating them, locating points and areas, and so on. And the JSTI indices are usually used together with that. But so far, it's a low priority feature for Firebird. But, well, perhaps it should have been mentioned earlier, but problem is not only with low demand for us. The problem is also with resources. So actually, if some feature is important for you, but the Firebird team is not really interested yet and don't have enough resources to implement it really fast yet, we could consider some kind of cooperation. It could be testing. It could be providing some details about what you need. In some cases, you could sponsor the development, provided that we have available human resources. It could shift some priorities, not in every case, of course, but sometimes. So at least for me, this is kind of feature that some big company should come in and say, we really need it. And we are ready to provide the specifications. We are ready to take all the issues with testing. We have the applications for that. We have the resources, the dedicated servers for testing. We are ready to pay for that if it's required, and something like that. So far, just nobody stepped in with such a direct requirement.
So that's answer. So also traditional question about table spaces.
Perhaps you have seen the discussion about table spaces in the Firebird development list. It's halfway implemented. The core implementation is done by the Red Soft company. They are going to include it into their next release of the Red database. During winter, we hope that they will provide it as a pull request to the core Firebird engine, so we could review and integrate that. I cannot promise it will happen for Firebird 5, because actually it will depend on how many additional work will be required. For example, we have faced some issues with the original description in the Firebird development team, and we have some worries about that. The core idea is fine, but some additional features may be needed even in the original release for us. It could be maybe not really important for Red database, but they are important for the Firebird team. So actually, it will depend on the time and efforts needed to polish everything up and make this feature good enough for users. If it will be available during the next year, good, it could be included in Firebird 5. If not, well, it will come in the next version, Firebird 6.
Yeah, I fully support this approach. So we should run versions as soon as we have the minimal optimum of features. Okay, so we have some thank you. Thank you too for watching.
You're
Good
welcome.
guys. Some question I would like also to address. So I realize very low, very few learning videos on YouTube and training resources. I know what's for me,
Well,
it's a bit strange because when we started with Firebird, there was no YouTube at all, and and for this we like the articles with some guidelines. First of all, it's you can read it whenever you are. You can copy paste some comments and so on from articles. You cannot copy paste from YouTube, and also it's really faster, so you can reread until you get understanding. But it's from from our old guys approach. But I know that some guys like Edson in Brazil, for example, meu querido Firebird, they do really good learning videos. And now also we started something like this with live discussions. So maybe, yes, so we will add more on YouTube and it will be more interesting. So what do you think, Dmitry?
Yes, actually, before we just not used to this kind of resources, YouTube and so on. We are guys from another age, and not everything is comfortable for us from this kind of using video resources and something like that. But well, we still can learn, and we still make things make something better. So actually, if there is demand on such video resources, we could try. At least we could try.
Okay, yeah, good. So now let's go to some traditional discussion about virtual machines performance. So there is an explanation. So the Arcadius, they have a problem with the virtual machines. And the question is actually, do I have to use some special virtual machine configuration for Firebird? So in our experience,
usually nothing special, but just I would first of all look at the configuration to make sure what is the problem with the bridge between the host drive and the virtual drive, because usually it's, at least in the past, I remember some problems with drivers. And sometimes some options could also prevent better performance, better interaction between the virtual drive and the host drive. Alexei, do you have any more info about that?
Yeah, I would like to add that the actual virtual machine is really different from one to another. I remember we did a testing during the preparation of Firebird performance newsletter. Let me quickly find it. So where is it? Yes. So and there is a comparison for Amazon to find the best performance. So I will put the link to the comments. And we've just found that if something is called virtual machine, it can be really, really different. Even with the same amount of cores and CPUs, underlying drive can be really bad or really fast. So I think the answer is no special. You just need to have really fast virtual machine with fast drives. Okay, so there is some discussion. Of course, how we can avoid the mentioning of interface, our grandfather. Sorry. What about the lateral joins?
They are available in Firebird 4.
Good question. I like that question. So they are already available. So you are welcome, of course. How you going? Another question. How are you going to develop definite constraints?
Yes, we are going to develop them. It's already in the pipeline. We just going from one task for another. Again, no concrete promises right now, but it was one of the plans for Firebird 5. But everything will depend on our available time and the other tasks that have a higher priority.
Okay, good. Oh, we have a comment from Holger. Hi, Holger. Hi from Germany. Hi to Germany. Yeah, so there is comments about the virtual machine, about the test, and continuation of the answer is not really useful for Firebird. Yes, yes, I am agree, but you need good virtual machine, fast virtual machine. It's absolutely not a question. So there is a comparison in comments. Another good question from Attila. New dialect or configurable numeric operation?
Yes, I remember this issue. I remember our discussion about that. I fully agree with your concerns. And actually, we will surely do something about that. I don't know, I cannot say right now how exactly it will be made configurable with a single language, using some configuration option or something different. But yes, we are going to address these issues.
Yeah, but I have also a question about the dialect. So dialect 1, will it be disappeared in Firebird 5 or not?
I don't think so. We have declared deprecated. Actually, our practice is to deprecate it to remove it in the next release. But first of all, we know that not many users are ready for that. Of course, they are not required to migrate to Firebird 5, for example. They could wait, but perhaps they really want some new feature, but still are on dialect 1 and cannot migrate. First, that's what first. Second, it will really be good to support exactly this configurable division option before we remove it completely, so the people could at least provide some backward compatibility in behavior of mathematical operations. And third, well, we are now switching from 5 years development cycle to 1 year development cycle. For many people, it's just too quick. So removing it right 1 year after Firebird 4, it's just going to be really not necessary, in my opinion. So I think Firebird 5 will still have dialect 1. But maybe just a deprecation warning will be printed with a bigger font in the release notes.
Yeah, I think that's really necessary. And also, actually, the same is for UDF, right? So UDF will be in Firebird 5.
Yes.
Okay, good. Because many
they are
people...
disabled by default, starting with Firebird 4, but technically they are still available if really necessary.
Yeah, really good. Okay, some more questions. I don't have any questions. Thank you to Bruna. Abraços.
Thank you.
Abraços. Okay, good. So, we are almost in the end of our stream. So it's, limited by 1 hour. I think it was a kind of good experience right, Dmitry? What do you think? Some
Oh,
really
yes, for me
hot
it's really good.
questions. Hot
At
questions.
least questions are really good, and
Mhm.
actually, I kind of miss all you guys because of the lack of the conferences. So it's a kind of really makes me happy to speak with people.
Yeah. Some few last moment questions. What do you think about declared table thing for PSQL?
Yes, it's local declared tables. They are defined as a SQL standard. We actually have a kind of underlying implementation for that already in Firebird 5, but the entire feature just need more attention. So I'm not ready to promise anything right now. But yes, they will be available at some point.
Okay, good. So some interesting question about is the way to regularly export Fiber to Google BigQuery.
Again, it looks
Put it
like a feature.
scheduler.
Well,
It
or maybe
requires.
using the replication engine to just move the data to copy the changes.
You mean the streaming?
Yes, streaming the
Or
changes.
yeah, or just do the queries with some interval. But I think I already live in Brazil. Oh no, not yet. Unfortunately, we have a lot of snow, and I miss Brazil a lot. We have plans for have multiple schemas in Firebird 5.
Surely not. It's one maybe of the big features that we need, in my opinion. But schemas is a major ODS change because it touches every system table to add schemas there. So and Firebird 5 is using just a minor ODS upgrade. So the schemas will be scheduled for the next major ODS. I cannot say whether it's going to be Firebird 6 or 7 or whatever. As soon as we will have a bunch of major ODS changes together, ready for release, it will be available and schemas will be there.
Okay, so
But it's not about Firebird 5.
thank you too. It's some question, but interesting in optimization for Xeon processors. I would maybe change the question. Is there any possible optimization for any type of processor? Maybe some switches.
Usually, Firebird actually doesn't use any processor-specific optimizations. We mostly rely on the compilers for that. If GCC or Microsoft Visual Studio is able to optimize some data moving operations, for example, using the special extensions, CCC2, for example, or something like that, it will just generate the compiled code for using those instructions. And okay, but the problem is that what processor target should be used to compile Firebird? We provide really conservative builds that is able to run almost on any kind of hardware. If you need Xeon specific optimizations, you need to compile Firebird yourself using the optimization level for this particular processor. And maybe the compiler will be good enough and use these optimizations for some Firebird
or you can
operations.
hire someone to do it for you.
Yeah, yes, of course.
Yes, also another question about how to replicate data from to Google BigQuery. So I think there is no
official tool, no, nothing ready right now. But with some additional parsing tools, it could be available in Firebird 5.
No, Dmitry, I think the question is not about getting data with the native replication. I think the question is about some tool, like a normal tool, which can connect to Firebird, do the query, and after that insert to BigQuery. So it can be Pentaho or it can be some cloud-based tools like I don't know, maybe retable. But really, actually, I don't know exact names, but I think there are some tools which can connect both to Firebird, to BigQuery, and pump the data. So this is my
Maybe.
understanding of the question.
I just don't know about this.
Yeah,
tools.
and also it's okay. Some question from Holger. What about a kind of search path usable for packages?
Well, we need to think about that. This is just the first time I hear about this wish. So maybe, but I just not ready to say about that right now. We will think about that.
Yeah, so make a note.
And please, if you consider it useful, add a ticket to the tracker, because everything is forgettable and it's hard to track all the questions that are really address some specific requirements if they are not registered in the tracker. So
okay, so let's go
please
some quick questions. I think we already answered it. So answer is no. It will be after,
no,
right?
not in Firebird 5, but in some next version.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the major ODS, new major ODS will be introduced.
Record types PSQL. Oh, good
not
question.
Yet. Not yet.
Yeah, so not in Firebird 5.
It's well, it may be. We should to think about that first. How hard is going to be possible using existing Firebird engine? Whether it just going to be kind of syntax sugar or hard work will be required. After that, maybe I will able to answer with more details.
Okay, some greetings from Roland. Hi, Roland.
Roland, hi.
Как дела в Словакии? Очень скучаем. Yeah, so some clarification. Yes, external tools. I think there are some, but unfortunately we don't have it, handy. Yeah, and some clarification from Holger. Yeah.
Okay, good. Holger, we will be waiting for that. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so and we are just in time. So let's wrap up. So thank you, Dmitry. Thank you all guys for watching.
Yes, thank you.
So let's keep in touch in these hard times, pandemic and all. So be good, be healthy, and so on. So bye.
See you later.
See you soon.